Welcome to the Global WarWatch Network. Russia's Northern Fleet just staged massive Arctic war drills warning shots fired at an intruding vessel. Is Moscow sending a message, maybe a pretty strong one, to the world about its grip on Arctic trade and energy? Today, we're really focusing on this unfolding story in the Arctic. It's got some potentially huge global implications. We've got some fascinating details from recent reports that, well, they really shed light on Russia's assertive stance up there in its northern waters.
Yeah, and what's really striking here is how these drills aren't, just about checking boxes on military readiness. They seem carefully crafted to project influence, especially now with the whole global landscape shifting, the ice melting. We'll definitely explore what they did, and maybe more importantly, the why behind Russia's actions.
Okay, let's zoom in then. The Russian Northern Fleet, these big exercises, where exactly did this happen and what was the immediate trigger they were simulating?
Right, so these drills were centered in the Kara Sea. That's a really key part of Russia's Arctic coastline, vital for their maritime economic activity.
The scenario itself was quite specific. It involved a large anti-submarine ship, the Severomorsk, that's an Udaloy-class destroyer, quite capable. And this ship supposedly received a report about an intruding vessel. In this case, it was a tugboat named Pamir. The simulation was that the Pamir was heading towards Russian waters without, any authorization. A clear challenge, basically.
So a simulated intrusion designed to test their response. What did the fleet actually do in response to this threat?
Well, exactly. And the response followed a sort of deliberate escalation path, very much like real-world protocols. First, they sent messages. Standard international channels, VHF radio, AIS probably. Trying to make contact, tell the Pamir to change course.
Standard procedure first. Right. But the simulation included the Pamir not responding. That non-compliance was the key. So the Northern Fleet ships then fired warning artillery shots, just ahead of its course, basically. And fleet officials were quite open about this, saying it showed Russia's readiness to, quote, defend its maritime borders. A very direct message.
Warning shots fired. That's serious, even in an exercise. But it didn't stop there, did it? What came next?
No, it escalated further. After the warning shots didn't, theoretically, deter the Pamir, inspection teams moved in. They used fast boats launched from the naval ships.
Right.
And crucially, they had support. A Ka-27 helicopter was involved, providing eyes in the sky, maybe cover, along with Marine infantry ready for boarding. These teams then boarded the Pamir. As part of the drill, they seized things like marked weapons, smuggled goods, and they detained the crew.
Got it. So a full sequence. Detection, warning, then boarding, and seizure.
Exactly, showcasing a complete response capability.
And that coordination is really interesting, isn't it? Ships, helicopters, Marines all working together. So what was the official line? What was the stated goal of practicing these specific things, like protecting shipping or offshore projects?
The stated aim was pretty clear. Practice protecting shipping lanes, offshore energy projects, think oil rigs, gas platforms, and those critical supply routes in the Arctic. Projects like the huge Yamal LNG facility, all the exploration going on. These are massive economic interests for Russia.
Absolutely.
So the drills were designed to make sure the Northern Fleet can handle, pretty much any threat to these assets, whether that's other states, maybe non-state actors, piracy, even sabotage. Having that kind of coordinated response ready is vital for their whole economic strategy up north.
Okay, that makes sense. Which leads us to the bigger why. Why is the Arctic and this specific area so incredibly important for Russia? It's more than just territory, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's fundamental to their economic future, their geopolitical weight. And the heart of it really is the Northern Sea Route, the NSR.
Right, the NSR. We hear a lot about that.
Yeah, and for good reason. It runs right along their Arctic coast. It's potentially a massive shortcut for shipping between Europe and Asia. We're talking maybe 10 to 15 days faster than going through the Suez Canal.
That's huge.
It is. Think of the fuel savings, the time savings. Russia sees this not just as, their route, but a future global trade artery. And these drills are basically saying, we control the security here, we control access.
So it's not just regional defense, it's about controlling a potential global economic highway. What message, then, are they trying to send to everyone else, the U.S., China, European nations, with these kinds of drills?
Well, analysts generally see two main goals running in parallel. First, yes, genuine military practice, making sure they can operate effectively in that harsh environment.
Sure, readiness.
But the second goal is signaling, sending a really clear message to other powers. They want to demonstrate they can and will defend the NSR. They want to deter anyone from challenging their authority or, putting pressure on them there. It's about reinforcing their view of sovereignty over those waters, the exclusive economic zone. It's basically saying, this is our sphere and we're equipped to protect it.
A very clear signal of intent, then.
Yeah.
And stepping back even further, why is the whole Arctic region becoming such a, well, a hot topic, such a focus of competition?
The big driver, undeniably, is climate change.
The melting ice.
Exactly. As the ice melts and it's melting, vast areas that were locked up for most of the year are becoming navigable for longer periods. This changes everything, geopolitically,
Yeah.
economically. It's not just the shipping lanes opening up, it's access to resources. Huge amounts of oil, natural gas, minerals, even fishing stocks.
Untapped potential.
Right. And so now you have all the major powers, the U.S., Canada, Nordic countries, Russia, of course, but even non-Arctic states like China talking about a polar Silk Road all looking north. They see new economic opportunities, new strategic possibilities, and that inevitably leads to competition.
So Russia is using its navy, its military power, to solidify its position, not just asserting sovereignty claims, but really trying to secure its economic future in a region that's opening up faster than anyone expected. And practicing these specific actions, warning shots, boarding, seizure, it builds that hard power capability to respond to crises and kind of cements their role as the dominant player there.
Precisely. It's about demonstrating they have the means and the will to manage this increasingly accessible and therefore increasingly contested part of the world. Asserting naval power is key in this environment.
Okay, so let's bring it back to the audience. What does this all mean for you watching these developments unfold? Because it feels like more than just another military exercise.
It really is. This isn't just routine patrolling. It's a calculated display. It's about power. It's about controlling access to resources and shaping the future of global trade routes in a world that's literally changing shape due to climate change.
A statement about control in a changing world.
Absolutely. What we're seeing is Russia using these drills to underline its control over what it sees as vital national interests, economic and strategic. And it really highlights this intensifying global contest for influence, for resources, for access in the Arctic. The implications are huge. Future energy security, how global trade might evolve, even questions about international maritime law in these newly opened waters. It forces you to think. This melting ice isn't just a geographical shift, it's reshaping geopolitics. And the big question really is, will all this competition lead to maybe new kinds of cooperation?
Yeah.
Or is it just setting the stage for more friction up there? That's something to keep watching.
A really important point to consider. Okay, that brings us towards the end of our discussion on Russia's northern fleet drills and what they signal about the Arctic's future. We really hope you found this exploration of the region's strategic importance useful and insightful. Thank you so much for joining us today on Global WarWatch Network. Your time and participation really do mean a lot to us. If you found this valuable, please do like, share, and subscribe to the Global WarWatch Network for more analysis like this. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share them in the comments section below. Also, do join us on social media. You'll find all the links you need right there in the description.